Well, it is 3:18, and we're going to start off a little bit into our story. But we're talking about how a forest can burn down and turn into something ashy, into sort of a place where little flowers can survive, to shrubs, to young forest, and then back to mature forest. And the same thing we see in farm fields. So remember when we talked about how European settlers came here, and Ohio was this vast wilderness, big forest? And what was the first thing they had to do before they could farm it? Cut all the trees down. And they cut down 90% of Ohio's tree cover in a period of about 10 years. Something like that. Crazy. I mean, it was a big task to kill all those trees to make farmable land. It was not easy. But it was done. And we see all around us farm fields that have been abandoned, and they're headed back towards forest. So here's the thing. Biological communities do get disturbed. And when they get disturbed, we know how they change over time. We know how they recover. This is a slide of your partial notes, so you'll need your partial notes out. And that disturbance can be a whole lot of things. It can be a fire. It can be a flood. It can be logging. Logging disturbs the biological community. What if you came in and you cut down all the trees and you bulldozed out the roots and then you paved that sucker? Would that count as a disturbance? Oh, yeah. That's a pretty good disturbance. It's pretty disturbing. So, can a biological community recover from that? Yeah, it would, but they manage. They manage. So this process has a name. It's called succession. And it's gradual. It's slow. You don't go from a farm field to a mature forest overnight. You go through, overgrown field. You go through scrubby, brushy field. You go through young forest. But eventually you get there. Succession is gradual and it's very, very predictable. A biologist can look at a field that's in a particular stage of succession, and they can generally give you a pretty good list of the plants you're going to find there. Now, there are two different kinds of succession, and we're going to do these backwards. We're going to talk about secondary succession first. So there. And secondary succession is when you grow biological community for the first time, or for the second time, biological community for the second time. Hence why it's called secondary succession. When you grow a biological community for the second time. So in secondary succession, a community was there, the community got disturbed, and now it's regrowing. So forests after forest fires, old farm fields, even a vacant lot in a city. Who here has seen weeds growing up between cracks in the sidewalk? Yeah. Guess what that is? It's the biological community attempting to come back. It's the biological community breaking down the disturbance, the pavement. And they will literally crack the sidewalk. They're amazingly powerful. Now, if you leave that vacant lot, this one right here, alone, do you think that it will be a robust and diverse and big, wonderful forest? Probably not. It'll be a little patch of forest. But will it turn into forest? Yeah, it will, if we're here. So we're going to watch a very quick little clip from something that I love. Anybody else here love post-apocalyptic fiction? Do you know what post-apocalyptic fiction is? It's fiction about after, the end of the world as we know it. And that can be, after a nuclear war, after the zombie apocalypse, after, who knows what. Civilization collapses. I love that stuff. I've always loved that stuff. And you start to wonder, well, how does it all come back? What changes? How does this happen? And there are lots of movies that show this. What's the one with Will Smith and the vampires in New York City? I Am Legend. It's awesome. And you look at that city, and I don't know how many years post-apocalypse that is, but, there are trees growing out of the train tracks, and, that's after nature has started to reclaim the community. So there's a fantastic series that they did years ago on History Channel called Life After People. Anybody seen it? Yeah. We're going to watch just a few little clips from it. And if you're watching, if you're not in class and you're watching this as makeup, go to YouTube and search Life After People. You can watch the whole thing if you want. We'll actually stop here and come back.